All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are tackling a shift that is basically rewriting the DNA of how businesses operate. We all know the classic software development story, right? You get this brilliant idea, you hand it off to IT, it falls into this bottomless pit of a backlog, and then months or literally years later, you finally get an app that honestly might not even do what you needed it to do in the first place. But what if we could just bypass that whole agonizing cycle? What if you could build real, functional business value in a matter of minutes? Well, that is exactly what we are demystifying today as we look at building enterprise apps with low-code, specifically through the lens of the Appian platform.
So, let's start with Section 1, the low-code revolution, and this massive prediction of 80% by 2024.
I want you to really let this staggering number sink in for a second. 80%. According to analysts over at Gartner and VentureBeat, by the year 2024, 80% of enterprise software development will be low-code. Think about that. We aren't talking about some niche little tool for weekend side projects here. We are talking about the vast majority of all enterprise-grade software. It's a total game changer. Basically, if you are still relying entirely on traditional line-by-line coding from scratch for every single business process, well, you're already falling behind. The stakes here are incredibly high, and figuring out how to leverage this 80% shift is absolutely crucial for anyone in business operations, IT, or management. Moving right along to Section 2, meet the Appian platform, the practitioner's guide. To navigate this massive shift, we're using low-code application development with Appian by Stefan Helzle. Now, we are definitely not just looking at marketing fluff today. We are digging into a true boots-on-the-ground practitioner's guide. And Stefan, he brings some serious credibility to the table. He has been an Appian certified lead developer and solution architect, working with the platform since way back in 2009. The guy's mentored dozens of colleagues and supported over 30 massive enterprise projects. We're talking everything from complex reinsurance claims to end-to-end car financing. So the key takeaway here is that the insights we're extracting today, they are battle-tested in the real high-speed world of business automation. So how does Helzle structure this journey? Well, he breaks it down into 4 key stages. And honestly, this proves a really important point about modern low-code. First, we start with no-code quick apps, literally building things without touching a single line of code. From there, it scales up into structuring a software project, where you figure out the business context and data. Next up is implementing software, where you start modeling out complex processes and user interfaces. And finally, you hit the code in Appian low-code, which covers the heavy lifting, like web services, integrations, and complex logic. This completely shatters the myth that low-code is just for building simple little toys. Appian is fast enough to give you those quick wins, absolutely, but it scales perfectly into robust, complex enterprise architecture. The whole shebang. Which brings us to Section 3. Beyond Hello World and creating rapid business value. Okay, if you've ever dabbled in programming, you already know the classic Hello World exercise. And let's be honest, the traditional way is pretty exhausting. You download packages, install software, restart your machine, configure a bunch of environments, and after all of that, your grand reward is a tiny black console window that prints 2 little words, Hello World. Sure, it teaches you how the tools work, but it creates absolutely zero actual business value. Contrast that with the Appian Quick App approach. There are literally no downloads, 0 installations. You just open up a browser, log in, and in less than 30 minutes, without writing a single line of code, you have built a fully functional enterprise application. It doesn't just print text to a screen. It actually manages records, assigns tasks, and handles documents. The immediate return on investment for your time is just off the charts compared to traditional dev. Next up is Section 4, building your first app, the QA use case. To really prove how this works in the real world, let's look at a super relatable everyday office scenario pulled straight from Chapter 1. Think about how work actually happens in your office. You're grabbing a coffee, and a colleague casually mentions this great idea for improving quality assurance. Or maybe you get a quick email or a phone call with a suggestion. Typically, those requests just vanish into thin air, or at best, they get buried in some messy, forgotten spreadsheet. Well, that is our use case for today, taking those casual, unstructured QA improvement requests and turning them into a formally managed application. We are going to build an app that improves collaboration and transparency for your entire team, and it's entirely based on that casual coffee machine chat. Now, here is how surprisingly simple the process actually is to start automating that workflow. It's literally just 3 steps. Step 1, you log into your Appian Community Edition account, and by the way, that is a totally free environment you can request just to practice in. Step 2, you locate the waffle menu, and Step 3, you select the Quick Apps Designer. That's it. Boom. You are now a developer. Let's actually look at exactly what this interface looks like so you can visualize doing this yourself. Just notice how clean and completely non-intimidating this interface is. What you're seeing is the Appian Community Edition welcome screen. Now, look up at the top right corner. See that little grid icon? That is what we call the waffle menu. It is your gateway. Notice how you aren't opening up some dark, scary command line terminal here. You are interacting with a highly polished, user-friendly web interface that practically invites you to jump in, explore, and start learning immediately.
And here is the magic click. When you open up that waffle menu, you'll see a drop-down of options. By simply clicking Quick Apps Designer, you completely bypass traditional coding. No joke. You don't have to define a database schema, you don't have to write any front-end HTML or CSS, and you certainly don't have to configure a back-end server. Appian takes your inputs and automatically generates a ready-made framework of functionality right out of the box, complete with case management, task assignment, and reporting. Just like that, you are instantly ready to start solving that coffee machine QA problem.
All right, let's move into our final segment, Section 5, the maker's attitude, from user to creator. As we start to wrap up this explainer, I really want to bring all of this back to a central theme that Stefan Helzle establishes right at the very beginning of his book. He says, business users with a maker's attitude finally have the chance to get closer to developing their own business applications. And guys, this is the absolute core takeaway here. For decades, there was this massive, impenetrable wall between the business users who actually experienced the problems and the software developers who had the tools to fix them. Low-code drastically reduces the sheer complexity of traditional development, effectively tearing that wall down for good. If you are even a little bit tech-savvy, you no longer have to wait patiently on IT to build a solution for your department's specific bottleneck. You are completely empowered to just build it yourself. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. You've seen the 80% industry shift, you've seen how Appian scales from quick no-code apps all the way up to complex enterprise architecture, and you've seen just how simple it is to turn a quick coffee machine chat into a functional app in under 30 minutes. So the question I have for you is this. In this massive new landscape, are you going to stay just a passive software user, endlessly submitting IT tickets into the void? Or are you ready to adopt the maker's attitude and start building those solutions yourself? The tools are right there, literally waiting for you. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I really hope this sparks some great ideas for your own workflows.